For the next drug of abuse we discuss, let's talk about alcohol. Now, alcohol in the 1920s was outlawed in Prohibition. It didn't stop people from drinking, there were still speakeasies, but it was illegal. And then we decided to legalize and regulate it again. In the alcohol market, what we have is that our bodies, when we process alcohol, can generally process about one 12-ounce beer per hour at about 5%, one 5-ounce glass of wine, or one 80-proof shot of alcohol, all about 1 per hour. Now, when we talk 80 proof, that's 40%. That's what our body is capable of processing. Now, if you go over that amount and you drink more than that, alcohol starts to have an intoxicating effect. That is, it shuts down the prefrontal cortex of your brain. The prefrontal cortex of your brain is what makes executive decisions. So when you shut that down, you're going to be inhibited. You might be more courageous to talk to someone you might not usually talk to. Hence why people like alcohol as a social lubricant. It makes them loosen up and perhaps a little goofier and a little looser. The challenge is you're also, by shutting down your prefrontal cortex and executive functioning, if you do that to too great an extent, that's when people hop in cars and drive when ultimately they shouldn't. So with alcohol, we want to keep in mind the Pareto principle that the majority of alcoholic sales go to people who use alcohol every day. We regulate it. However, that does not mean that it is a perfect system. We have about 43,000 alcohol-related liver deaths each year. To keep that in perspective, that's more than car accidents. We have about 40,000 car accidents, and we have about 49,000 suicides. So when we look at deaths of despair that we'll talk about more later, alcohol-related liver disease is certainly one of them. Now, when we look at alcohol on the whole, it is a depressant. It slows your central nervous system, it slows your breathing, and if you consume too much of it, you can overdose on alcohol. You can choke on vomit and die, or if you are alcohol dependent, the withdrawal of alcohol can also be a death risk. Because alcohol relaxes you and loosens your muscles, when you withdraw from alcohol, there is a seizure risk for the body compensating for that. That means if somebody is tapering off of dependency of alcohol, we want to make sure they're doing so in a medical setting to mitigate that risk.